anything that you want to treat yourself to, because sometimes you deserve it. You need to put those things in your budget. Hey my Sky Savers, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kim and this is World of Sky, a world for women and mothers looking to save money and get the most bang for your buck. And today we're talking all about different budget categories. In my previous video, we talked about how to build a basic budget. So you'll want to go and watch that video after you've watched this one if you haven't already seen it, to learn how to create a simplistic, basic, but extremely helpful budget for you to follow every single month to stay on track with your financial goals. But in this video, we're going to talk about the different categories that go into a budget in more detail. You want to be sure that you have a complete budget. So you want to include all of your income, but more importantly, include all of those expenses that you have to pay every single month to make sure that you have a complete budget so that there's nothing that's coming up surprising you that will throw your budget completely off. Today, we're going to talk about 13 different budget categories. Okay, so you may just have some, or you may have all of these categories in your budget for the month. And also these categories could change month to month, so keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about each of these in more detail. First, we have income. Income is the very first part of your budget. It's the foundation and it's necessary to build a budget. If you don't have any income, you don't have any money coming in, okay, you can't build a budget. Okay, you're always going to be upside down because your expenses will be higher than your income if you don't have an income. So you want to start your budget off with all of your income sources. Here are some examples of different income sources. Okay, the first one is your salary or wages from your job. Then you can also have income, let's say you have a side hustle, or you're a business owner and you have income coming in from your business. You would want to include that in your income for the month. Any interest that you received, maybe from real estate, from your savings account, from a CD, all of those things would count as a part of your monthly income. Other income sources that we would want to include are investment income. So maybe dividends that you got paid out from some shares that you own in a company. You would also want to include any rental income from a rental property that you may have. In addition to those other sources that I mentioned, things like alimony, child support, can also be included as a part of your monthly income sources. So those are the most common examples of some income sources, but there are others. Just think of any other money that you may be receiving into your household and you'll want to include that in your income. Okay, next let's talk about your expenses. We'll talk about both fixed expenses and flexible expenses. If you don't know the difference between the two, check out my previous video. I'll link it down below for you. Now, you may have some or all of these in your budget. We're going to go through them in more detail because I want to start getting you to think about all the things that you are spending money on. Every single expense, every single dollar that is going out, I want you to be able to have it accounted for and know exactly where it is going. So the first thing is going to be your utility bills. Every single month you have utility bills. So this is going to include things like your gas bill, your electric bill, your water bill, trash and sewer, can I talk? Your cell phone bill, your internet bill. All of those things will go under your utilities category. Let's talk about housing, most people's largest expense. So this is going to include your rent or your mortgage. So that would be a housing expense. It will also include your homeowner's insurance if you own a home, or maybe your rental insurance if you are renting a space. So you also want to include the insurance premiums that you're paying every single month for those policies. If you are a homeowner, you also want to include expenses such as your HOA fees, if you have one, your repair and maintenance bills.
There's always something to be fixed or upgraded or repaired.
So as a homeowner, you want to account for those expenses that you will occur every single month. Also, property taxes. You'll want to account for the amount of property tax that you need to pay every month or save for, depending on when your property taxes are assessed. So those are some of the different expenses that will fall under the housing category. Next, let's talk transportation. So if you have a car that you have a loan out on, you'll want to include your car payment into this category, as well as your auto insurance that you're paying every single month for the vehicle. You'll also want to include the fuel that you're using every single month in your car. So the gas can fluctuate based on maybe if you have a month where you have a lot more parties and activities and you're driving a lot more, your gas expenses are going to be higher than maybe a month where there's not a lot going on. You're just pretty much going to and from work, things of that nature. So you'll definitely include your gas in the transportation category, but know that that one fluctuates quite a bit. Also, if you have any repairs or maintenance costs for your vehicle, you'll need to include them in this category. If you don't have a car, but there's still other ways that you get around and maybe you use public transportation, you'll need to include those expenses in this area. So if you have a monthly train pass or a bus pass, you'll want to include the cost of that pass in your budget every single month under the transportation category. An expense that's often overlooked is your parking expenses. So if you are driving to work every day and you have to pay for parking, or if you're taking the train and you drive to the train station and you need to pay for parking, don't forget to include parking fees in your budget. And lastly, don't forget to include your ride sharing costs. We all like to hop in a ride sharing service to get from point A to point B when we don't want to drive, or just meeting up with friends in like a congested area and things of that nature. So don't forget to include those costs into your transportation expenses for the month. The next category is debt.
Debt.
So this is going to include things like student loan debt. I have them. That's included in my monthly budget every single month. That is a fixed expense for me. I know exactly how much I need to pay every single month, but that would be something that would be included in your debt. Also, credit card debt is another one that would be included in the debt category. If you have a personal loan or you borrowed money from a family member or a friend and you need to repay them, you need to include that in your budget for the month. Include the amount that you're going to repay to that personal loan or repay to that person. Next, let's talk about my favorite category, food. I love me some food. So in this category, you're going to need to include your groceries as well as eating out, as well as those daily trips that you make to Starbucks or Dunkin'. Include those in this category. This one is really one that people don't realize how much they are actually spending until they write it down. Once you write it down and you see how much you're spending daily or even weekly, and then add that up over a month's time, whoa, it can really be eye-opening the amount of money that you're spending. So food is a big one, but the benefit of the food category is also a flexible expense that we can really make some changes and cut our expenses drastically. Next, let's talk about health expenses. So this will include your insurance. So your health insurance, your vision insurance, your dental insurance, you'll want to include in this category. If you have any medical bills, you'll also want to include them in this category. Also, life insurance. If you have a life insurance policy, you'll want to include this in a part of your budget, whether you have a policy through your employer or if you have an individual policy, you'll need to include those premiums under the health category of your budget. If you have monthly prescription costs, those would fall under the health category, as well as any wellness costs such as your gym memberships. And lastly, any other out-of-pocket medical expenses that you have, you would want to lump them into the health category. If you have children is a category. Childcare is a category a huge category that you'll need to have in your budget. So this would include your daycare costs, any babysitters that you need, formula, diapers, all of the things that go into taking care of your child or things that you'll need to do for your child that month. Also, if you pay child support, you'll want to include that in your budget as well. The next category that we'll talk about is personal care. So this could be your toiletries. You'll want to include your clothing expenses. If you like to shop a lot, this also can be an eye-opening category. Me, guilty. So this would be your grooming, so getting your hair done, or guys getting your hair cut, nails, any kind of pampering that you do, going to the spa, you'll want to include all of those under your personal category. Some other costs that could also fall under this category would be dry cleaning your clothes or laundering them, as well as any electronics or any kind of personal items that you buy for yourself, anything that you want to treat yourself to, because sometimes you deserve it and you need to put those things in your budget and make sure that ever so often you are treating yourself as well. The next category is education. So this could be tuition and fees for yourself or for your children. You'll want to include that under education, as well as any supplies, books, tech equipment that you need. All of that will fall under education, whether it's for yourself or for your children. The next category is pet care. So if you have a pet or several pets, you have to take care of them. They need things. You would include their food, their grooming services, as well as any toys or items. And last but not least is the entertainment category. This is a big one that's going to encompass a lot of different expenses that you may or may not be thinking of. This would include things like your subscriptions or memberships that you have to whatever services, but if you pay those on a monthly basis, you would want to include that into your monthly budget. Also things like going out to the movies, going bowling. If you have any hobbies, you'll want to include all of the expenses that go along with your hobby for that month. Or if you're a crafter, any of your craft supplies, which are expensive by the way. Include those things in your monthly budget under entertainment. Also under entertainment, you would include any parties that you are hosting, or also if you're attending parties and you need to bring a gift for someone, you'll want to include that under entertainment. So this one can be a big one, especially towards the end of the year when we get to the holidays and we're doing all kind of holiday shopping. This expense category really can go through the roof towards the end of the year. So you want to account for that, because that is something that if you don't account for and you don't have the money set aside for that and you haven't planned to spend that, it can really throw your budget out of whack, and we don't want that. And last but not least are vacations and trips. We know these are so fun, but they can be costly, so you want to plan for them. If you're budgeting out for a vacation and you want to save towards that vacation, you want to budget a certain amount every single month, and you will put that under your entertainment category. I can't wait to go on a vacation soon. I'm interested. Let me know where the next place you plan to vacation is. Let me know in the comments below. I'm so interested in hearing about that. I want to go somewhere tropical. A beach is just heaven for me. So I hope that helped you think about all of the expenses that you will need to include in your budget. I know there are so many of them, it can be hard to keep track of, or there are some things that we just simply didn't think of. And so I hope that this video shed some light on some of those expenses, and now you can go back and rework your budget and include those things to make your budget more accurate. I do have a free downloadable monthly budget worksheet available for you. I will leave the link in the description box below so you can go grab a copy, and you can download it and print it off, and you can use it to complete your budget every single month. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads from me. I do upload a new video every single week. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Happy saving!